everyone, and welcome to the Owl Pod, the official podcast of Temple Athletics. I'm your host, Kevin Copp, and we'll hear from our student-athlete co-hosts, David Litvin and Amelia Wright, later on in today's show. A quick reminder as we get started with episode 1 of the Owl Pod today, please bookmark, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Every Friday we'll have a new episode of the Owl Pod available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. But my guest today, the subject for our first ever Owl Pod interview, is none other than Casey Keeler. Casey Keeler is the first-year head football coach here at Temple University. He is the second winningest active head coach in the entire country and has led 2 different programs, his alma mater, Delaware, and Sam Houston, to FCS national championships. We talk about the long and winding road that led him to North Philadelphia all the way from Emmaus, Pennsylvania, just up the Northeast Extension. So here is Casey Keeler. But first, quick word from our sponsors.
There are so many choices when it comes to selecting the right financial institution. Start with the Philadelphia Federal Credit Union. We're right here in your city. We're also the official credit union of Temple University, and anyone who lives, works, worships, and studies in Philadelphia can open an account, with convenient locations throughout our city of brotherly love. Also online at pfcu.com with free online and mobile banking. We're not here for our profit, here for yours. Federally insured by NCUA.
So the first pitch has happened, or is that's coming?
That's September 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I was going to say, we got to get you some bullpen sessions.
Oh, I was out there with Nico a little while ago. It's not pretty.
No, but
and I saw Kobe Bryant's daughter did a pretty good job, and I'm thinking, like, okay, she's probably like 9
right,
or 10, and I need to.
Well, that's the thing, is we don't remember the good ones. You only remember it's really all downside, very little upside.
I have to be better than Stephen A. Smith.
That's
so.
right. Yeah, low bar.
Yeah, that's all I'm shooting for.
All right, well, Coach, this is really to talk about everything that is not 2025 Temple football, I think,
sure.
And just give folks a chance to get to know you a little bit as a person. So, to that end, let's take it back to Emmaus in 1959. You know, obviously, I think that all of the steps along the way for you are so important to where we're going to end up, which is the philosophy of how you're approaching this role as head coach of Temple football. And I think it's not lost on anyone, obviously, being from the state and growing up in the Allentown area in the northeastern Pennsylvania. What was that like for you, and you know, kind of tracking your path that eventually led you to coaching and playing football? You know, what was those early years like for you?
Yeah, I had an amazing childhood. Played baseball, basketball, and football. Just everything's kind of rolled into the next season. My dad was the youth coach for all those sports. Spent a lot of time in the Poconos. We have a cabin up a little lake called Peck's Pond, and so did a lot of fishing. Then you know, when I got into high school, I was blessed to have 3 different high school coaches in 3 years, and people would think that was a bad thing. No, they were all just great coaches, great people. My high school coach my senior year was a gentleman named Gene Legath, and he actually was at practice a couple days ago. He came down to see me, and you know, he was one of those guys who recognized that I was going to miss out on some amazing opportunities if I didn't get my grades squared away. You know, I remember him pinning me up against a locker because that's who he was. He was 24 when he was the head coach. So he was a young guy. He wasn't much older than I was, you know. He was like 6 years older than I was. And he's like, listen, you're going to blow this opportunity. You know, all these Division I schools are coming in and watching your tape, and they love it. The guy who played right next to me, Bill Holvey, he went to West Virginia on a full scholarship. And so I was a year younger than he was, and so I got the benefit of having all these schools look at me, see me play right next to him. And so he was really very influential with the fact that I got my grades squared away, and I could, you know, go to you know, take an opportunity at the University of Delaware. My first choice was Penn State, and you know, Coach Paterno, when he met me, remarked about the beautiful shoes I had on. I had 2-inch heels on. And so kind of quickly figured out that 6'2" linebacker they were looking for, he didn't show up. It was a 6-foot linebacker that they probably were going to pass on. And then I came down to see Wayne Harden down at Temple, and we're in that exit meeting, and I'm expecting a scholarship offer, and we're talking about golf. And I didn't know a lot, but I knew that was a good sign. And I find out afterwards, the gentleman who's recruited me said, we filled up, that's why, coach didn't mention anything about, a scholarship or those kind of things. And my high school coach kept on telling me, you got to go visit Delaware. Gene Legath kept on saying, you got to visit Delaware. And I went down and just fell in love with the place as soon as I walked on campus. And so that kind of got me there. And I thought, I learned so much from that staff. I thought one of the things Tubby Raymond did a phenomenal job of. Tubby won 300 games, 3 national championships, invented the wing tee. I think his single greatest accomplishment was the culture that he developed at Delaware and the great men that worked for him. And so, that's where I learned so much in terms of, developing a culture and being in this thing together. And those men who coached me at Delaware cared about me more than just as a football player. And so I think all those experiences along the way, from my dad to my high school coaches and to Tubby and the assistant coaches at Delaware really shaped my viewpoint of how I would like to coach. Got a chance to coach at Amherst College in Massachusetts and lived actually with the head coach and his family in their house. I was on the 3rd floor. And I did that because I wanted to play. And so I was taking basically a year to kind of get myself in shape. And I had gotten a workout with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the defensive back coach was nice enough to say, hey, you did a good job, son. I know you're transitioning from linebacker to safety. Like, give me a shout, give me a call next year and I'll work you out again. And in my eyes, he was saying, you can play in the NFL.
Right.
I think what he was actually saying was, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And so I took a year off from my life, and I coached tight ends up at Amherst and worked out every day and got myself down to about 188 pounds, a bench 380. And I went and called Fred Bruni up, the defensive back coach, and he did not remember me. I didn't know that at the time. And he said, yeah, sure, come on by. And I worked out for him and ran like a low 4.5 and I said benched Roy Well and did all the drills great, and they actually signed me that day, and that was with Dick Vermeil. And so like I feverishly pursued trying to be an NFL player. I wanted to play in the worst way. Went down the last cut and had an opportunity with Marion Campbell to come back, and then by that time I had met my now wife, then girlfriend, Janice, and she's a Penn grad, and she was working in the city. And when I got cut that last time, we had gotten engaged, and we were talking, we're going to get married. And obviously looking for a job was the next big thing. And so I take a job interview up in New York City, paper products, sort of thing. Just a very generic, like
white collar, 9 to 5.
Yeah, sales, Hey,
Yep.
you can do sales. You can communicate with people. And I remember coming back on the train physically ill. And I thought it was just motion sickness. And she's pretty perceptive now. She said, you can't do this. I said, what are you talking about? She says, you came back physically ill from that interview. She said, you love football. You want to coach. And looking back at this, it sounds crazy. She went and found me a grad program. Glassboro State, now Rowan University, had a graduate assistant spot open for working with the athletic director. And so I took it. And she helped pay for all the things that went along with the fact that I didn't have a job. And so anytime she complains about the hours I put in,
I was going to say, did she fully appreciate then what she was signing herself up for?
No idea, no idea. And so I was lucky there where the head coach, even though I didn't coach football, he and I developed a relationship, and I would go over and kind of talk ball with him, and And then when he had to open it, he gave me a chance. And then he became the athletic director, and John Bunning came in. And, John was like, well, I coach defense and you coach defense, and one of us is going to have to move over to offense. Because in that world, there was 2 full-time coaches. And so I became the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach. And so John had Vermeil and Ron Jaworski and Joe Pisarcek come in, and we sat there for about 12 hours, and we put together an offense. And it's so funny because I'd run into Dick, and he'd always be asking me, like, I don't know why you didn't flop your offensive lineman. I told you should flop your offensive lineman. I'm like, Coach, I just was trying to get the play out. I couldn't worry about who was on what side, because he was, I think, the only coach in the NFL that flopped his offensive lineman, and that was obviously a long time ago. But so anyway, then I was fortunate to kind of work my way up the ranks, and John went on to coach in the NFL, and they really had no option but to hire me because John left so late. It was like, here's your 1-year deal. And we ended up playing for a national championship my first year and had great success there. So it's definitely a lot of opportunities, and I got a lot of breaks in my career. And then crazy thing is they decide to hire a Division III coach over at Delaware, and I got a chance to go over there and coach my alma mater and follow a legend. It's very tough. The very first game you're coaching, you're playing the number 3 ranked team in the country, who beat the tar out of you the year before. Obviously, I wasn't there, but Delaware gotten embarrassed, and they're naming the field after Tubby Raymond. And he's sitting right behind me, and we, it was one of the games you had to win, and we won it. And so that's kind of how I, got into coaching, but also it kind of, you can see how I was shaped. My dad, I just admired, how he had so many of those, almost like if you were in Emmaus, you were in youth sports, you went through my father. And
that can be a double-edged sword, right?
It can be, but you know what? I never saw it that way. I mean, it's kind of so funny because I think a lot of times, you'd feel the pressure of your dad's a coach. I never saw it that way. I only saw it as a benefit, not a negative. And if you weren't good enough, he wasn't going to play you. I mean, it didn't matter. And so, there was a separation. Like once the practice started, I don't think he even knew where I was. So and I think I saw the impact he made on so many young men, and then having the high school coaches I had, Al Fields and Fritz Halfaker, then Gene Lagath. Those people really had a great influence on me, and then the culture that I saw at Delaware. So I think all those things patterned me, and I know I coach a lot of just the experiences that I just talked about. Janice, my wife, often says, you do a great job of hiring great coaches that are better people. And so I think when you encircle yourself with those kind of people, I think your players, can really thrive in those, circumstances. And I am definitely a guy who wants to. I don't need to have my hands on everything. I do, but at the same time, I give a lot of my coaches a lot of freedom to express themselves. I have listened to Greg Schiano Clinic many times. Phenomenal football coach. And there's very much a methodical way. They go from A to B to C to D. And it doesn't matter who that coach is coaching the running backs or who that coach is coaching the O-line. That's how they do it. And it's from A to I have a little different philosophy where I want things, structurally sound, but I want those coaches to use their personalities and what they're comfortable with. So, I have my own way of doing things, and it's worked well for me. And I think all those things we just talked about, I think I have here now at Temple. I think I've hired a great staff who are even better people. And I think that is shown when, we've recruited those families come in and sit right where I'm sitting, and they talk about how impressed they are with the men that I've hired. Not just the coaches they are, just the people they are,
Right.
you know. So yeah.
Well, you go back to you get the chance to in both situations, and you're still early in your coaching career at the time that you're being elevated now late in the year to be the head coach at Rowan, and then you get a big time step to go to Delaware, which at the time had moved from Division II to 1AA FCS level, and the added layer and complexity there of taking over for a legend and a legend who coached you. So I imagine as a younger coach, that's a tough line to walk, where you want to honor the tradition of the program. You want to honor, what you were kind of brought about in that program, while also having some things. I mean, you changed the offense significantly. Yep. I mean, Tubby Raymond, as you said, the father of the wing tee, and I'm sure there were people that probably said, wait a minute, who is this kid coming in here who thinks he can, rip out, some of what we've built here at Delaware. How did you manage some of those early, things in your coaching career?
Well, it's so funny because I would, go recruit in Georgia and Florida where the wing tee is so prevalent. And it's like, oh, you're the guy who got rid of the Delaware in the Delaware wing tee.
Yeah.
And I guess, well, that's how you look at it. It's so funny because Tubb said to me, he goes, we've evolved this wing tee, and I still keep the name the wing tee and some of the principles. He goes, I do pretty well on camps. I do pretty well on books. I do pretty well on clinics. And so he had evolved that wing tee also. And the wing tee that Matt Nagy ran in 2001 was so much different than the wing tee that I played in. Again, I was a defensive player, but I saw it, up close and personal through, watching it in games and also, practice against it in spring football. So he was pretty innovative. He's a really bright football mind. And, he and Ted Kempsky had really tweaked that thing where it was a much different wing tee when I had gotten to it in 2001.
Well, as you have then progressed from Delaware, you go to Sam Houston State, and at Sam Houston, continue that level of success. I mean, that's the one commonality here, is you could see the level of success that you've been able to have as a coach everywhere you've gone. And I'm wondering, being a part of, you start your playing career with the idea of, as you said, getting to the NFL and wanting to play at that level. It's not Penn State, but it's Delaware. You win a Division II national championship as a player. Then you get to come back as a coach and lead them to a national championship. You go to Sam Houston and to build there and to win an FCS national championship. How did the feelings of success as a player compare to the joy of being able to experience it as a coach? I'm sure they both kind of hit you in different ways to ascend to that mountaintop. How were you able to square both of those?
Yeah, one of the problems I think that has transpired with me is that, and my wife says this all the time, she says, winning's not going to keep you in, losing's going to push you out.
Yeah.
Because, I just agonize so much over a loss. And I am a great loser when it comes to, I will make sure every single one of my players across that field shaking the opponent's hand. I remember we're playing Navy and we had beaten them a couple times, and so they were having the better day that day, and they got a little bit of a lead on us, and they kind of put one in late. And I know a lot of my coaches were really upset about it. I said, whoa, we did not schedule a score. We scheduled a game. They beat us. What I'm going to be mad that he put one in late? We should stop him from putting it late. So one of the things that's a constant for me is I think this is such an honorable game. It's played amongst, full-grown ass men, and we compete against each other, and we both want to win the worst way, but when it's over, it's over, and there's a way you conduct yourself. And to me, those are great lessons in life, too. It's not always going to go your way in life either. And, I have a very strong belief that you're measured in life how you handle your adversities. And so, I think the people that I've played for and grown up with in the family I grew up, I think, there is this very much, it's more than just the game itself. There's a calling that this game helps shape, people's lives and who they, and their successes or lack of successes. So I see that as a responsibility of mine. I mean, I'm trying to grow these players. You know, I'm trying to go win ball games because I don't have a platform unless we're winning. At the same time, this is more than just winning football games. This is about life. And this is about, okay, like these lessons that you're learning right now, you're going to use those lessons later in life. My wife often says that, you know, you're more of a mentor, more of a teacher, role model, you know, those kind of things than you are a coach. But she also agrees with me. That's what a coach really should be. And so, I love being around the players. I love putting together an organization. You know, that's something that I just don't know when I ever give this up because, and that's what she says to me too. My lovely wife Janice, 40 years. Hopefully, we're going to make it 41. Is that, you know, like she just sees the joy I have being around the players. She sees the joy I have when I'll get a text message saying that, you know, Coach, I started my own business. I'm engaged to get married. I look back on my life. I realize the impact you made. I mean, you know, those things, that's what I live for. I live for knowing, and I don't need that phone call. I don't need that recognition, but I know in my heart that I've challenged a lot of young men to be better. I've challenged a lot of young men to strive for greatness. And you know, I've made an impact on a lot of those people, and that's as important to me than any championship I've won.
Does that focus on everything that comes outside of, or I don't want to say outside of, but beyond the lines of the football field? Does that focus help because I think it's so overwhelming as we sit here in 2025, particularly in college football and particularly where Temple is in that ecosystem. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by all this and that and the other that's changed. And, you know, we don't need to get into NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, these things are in the ether, right? They're in every conversation. But does having that kind of foundation allow you to keep, first of all, some sense of sanity in the craziness of college football? And also, you know, the way that the game has changed, it sounds like you've been able to keep somewhat of a similar approach throughout all these different eras, all these different stops, and it's clearly worked well for you.
Yeah. So when we win a game, I'm very much enjoying that moment with my players. When we lose a game, I'm very much managing them in terms of this is how we handle life.
Yeah.
And it just so happens this part of life is a football game. But, you know, I mean, you could go through a hardship in a relationship. You could go through a hardship in a job. I had gotten fired. You know, and you know, how do you measure those things? I tell the story about Ryan Carty, who's now the head coach of Delaware, and he called me after I had gotten fired at Delaware, and he said, "Coach, we all know it's bullshit." He goes, "But you know, you're measured in life how you handle your adversities. That's what you taught us. That's what you taught us, and I know you'll handle your adversity." And so I take this phone call outside, even though it was the dead of winter, because I think my wife was just being worn out from like all the people reaching out to me. Very appreciative that were reaching out to me, and I mean, I needed those phone calls. I needed those text messages. I needed all that because it meant a lot. But I was trying to insulate her a little bit from all of it. And I come in and I'm crying. And she goes, "Oh, geez. Who called you?" And I told her the story about Ryan, and she says, he's right. You know, I mean, these are the things that you've taught your players over and over and over again, that life's not always going to go perfect. And when the things don't go perfect, how do you handle those things? That's really a test of who you are. And so, yeah, you know, it was interesting to see the full circle of my message, and then I'm living my message. And that's why I think, you know, Janice and I are so proud of, you know, what we did after we left Delaware. And we had that success at Sam Houston. And now coming here because, you know, those lessons I've talked about my whole career, you know, we lived those lessons firsthand. It was not our first choice to move to Texas. It wasn't. I mean, we're leaving family. And to be there 11 years was probably a little bit longer than any of us thought we were going to be, you know, away from family. But at the same time, it was like what we had to do. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of my themes that I see a correlation of this great sport that we have and also my opportunity to mentor, to, help players go through whatever they're going through. We have something called the 3 H's, and we'll do it with our team. And we're in the process. We just finished it. And it's like, who's your hero? What's your history? What's your hardship? And, we asked some of the staff to volunteer, and we asked some of the players to volunteer, and to hear some of the stories of some of our guys, coaches and players, things that they've gone through. It just makes you understand, like, we all have our own crap. We all do, and depends what day of the week or what year it is. It might be a little bit more than, but, we all have to find a way to persevere through that. And again, that's one of my common themes is that, we're in this thing together. You're not out on an island, and together we're going to figure this out. And, so again, it's kind of what keeps me moving in doing this job, 32 years as a head coach is a long time, but I love it as much today as I did the first time I took over as the head coach at Rowan.
Last question, Coach, and it's not lost on me that I think in the course of close to half an hour of talking, you've probably mentioned your wife, Janice, 10, 12 times, and all of us that get into this line of work, and I'm not equating what we do to coaching, but anyone that's going to sign up for these hours and these nights and weekends and travel and all that goes into it, you don't do it alone. And I think, as you noted, being back here in the Northeast, as you've got children and grandchildren being in this area, what does that mean for her, for you, for the entire extended family to be together?
We were together last night. I'd given the coaches a day off, and just get some family time. And so I got a chance to get down to Rehoboth and see her. And we were talking about, the special moment she and I got a chance to share when we had just beaten Liberty and, secured a great year, and the fact that we were still fighting to get in the conference championship, tournament, and, definitely going to a bowl game, and they're going to tear that stadium down. And she normally doesn't do this, but she came on the field, and she just wanted to take that moment in with me. And it was such an emotional moment because we both knew that this was probably it. We had pretty strong indication that we were going to be, making this move. And so it's like, we've lived this life together, and, this football thing has intertwined in our personal life and our families and all those kind of things, I think, in a positive way. I mean, there's some long hours. There's some time away from your family. There's some regrets I have of things that I missed of my children. But fortunately, having a strong wife like her, we were able to make these things work.
All right, it's time now to hand over the mic to our co-hosts here on the Owl Pod, David Litvin from Temple Cross Country and Amelia Wright from Temple Lacrosse. Each week, they'll be catching up with their teammates and fellow student-athletes to give us a truly authentic look at the student-athlete experience here at Temple. But before we let them loose with a microphone on the unsuspecting public, their first job was to interview each other. So in today's student-athlete spotlight, one-on-one, we have none other than our co-hosts David Litvin and Amelia Wright, after this word from our sponsors.
From Westchester to Doylestown, from Drexel Hill to Lansdale to Philly, we all look out for each other, stepping up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years, and that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you. Learn more at IBX.com.
Look, for those of you that don't know, my name is David Litvin. I have the honor of serving as the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I'm going to be a rising senior on the men's cross country team. Again, that just feels wrong to say out loud, but I'm here with my vice president and co-host of the Owl Pod, Amelia Wright.
Yeah, me and David are going to be sidekicks this year. I'm a graduate student on the lacrosse team. I'm from Roswell, Georgia, so we got some different perspectives here.
Yeah, a couple different angles coming from, I grew up right outside of Philadelphia. Amelia, like she said, from Georgia. But really, we got kind of into this role by getting really involved with SAC, which for those of you who don't know, SAC is basically, can explain it as just caring a lot about, the student athlete experience, specifically at Temple.
The community around us.
Yeah. And just really like trying to foster a great environment for all student athletes, make their experience the best one possible. And through the last couple of years, Amelia and I have, what do you say, climbed the ranks of the SAC organizational chart to now I feel like we're in a good position to lead this group for the next year. I think maybe it'd be helpful for our audience to get to know us a little bit more, why we're so passionate about Temple, how we got here. So you want to kick us off with maybe telling us a little bit about maybe your recruiting journey, how you got here, how you heard about Temple, and kind of when you got here and why you became so involved.
Yeah, that's my favorite question, especially when I'm back home in Georgia. I always get, why Temple? Like, why are you in Philadelphia?
Do you have people that don't even know what Temple is? Like growing up for me, like when I go home, everybody knows of Temple.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of like 75% of people know. I always throw in like, oh yeah, it's in Philly, and then they're like, okay, now I remember. I feel like the basketball team put us on a good mark back in the day, so everyone around me at least knows where it is. And I love the question because I love talking about my experience at Temple, and I think that it was the best choice I could have ever made. In my recruiting process, it's actually kind of funny. This story makes me laugh. I always wanted like grass, which is such a random like take because now you see I ended up in a city, but I always wanted kind of like the homey vibes of Roswell, Georgia, which is a suburb outside Atlanta, North Atlanta. So I really wanted like the grass. So I really wanted to stay home near the South, but then once I visited Temple, I loved the city feel and like just the environment. I loved the buildings, and once you step onto campus, it's really like you're on a campus, which no one like believes it unless they've been here.
I think that's like such a good point to make. I love the point on grass because there's that famous clip, I don't know if you've seen, of Dave Portnoy going to Maxie's. Have you seen this clip?
No, I haven't.
But basically, he does like a pizza review. For those of you, probably familiar with Dave Portnoy, got really famous for doing these pizza reviews, and he did one at Maxie's. And he walked out of Maxie's, and the first thing he said was like, there's trees on Temple University's campus. Like he like couldn't believe that we had trees on campus. So I know. Like I think coming to campus for me, at least, it wasn't until I actually got here that I realized like this would be a really great place for me. Growing up, my dad was actually a teacher here. I taught in the law school, and I never really had much exposure other than that and hearing kind of his experience. But I had a bit of a different, story coming to Temple. I actually didn't originally choose Temple. I originally went to Syracuse University, studied there for a semester, and then ultimately decided to transfer to Temple. And it really wasn't until I got here on my visit that made it really easy to choose, just kind of similar reasons as you. Once you actually stepped onto campus, the atmosphere, kind of the people really hooked me in. And I think, like you, it was one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. I think once I got here, that was when I really felt, more of like a passion to get involved. And I think being a student athlete, there's a lot of opportunities for that. Maybe give us, I can certainly share how I got involved with SAC, but what kind of pushed you into the Student Athlete Advisory Committee and into the role you are today?
What pushed me? My coach asked me. That was kind of the way I stepped into it. I didn't honestly know what SAC was. I had, on my team at least, we always have two people that represent us. So we usually have like a junior and sophomore, and then as one person gets to be a senior, then graduates, and it kind of just keeps
just like
replacing. Yeah. So I knew the girl that was a senior when I was a sophomore, so then I took her spot. So I kind of just got into it by luck, but I really like it because I was able to meet someone from every team from all over the world. We have internationals, we have people from California, like we have people with so many different stories.
Yeah, a lot of different backgrounds. I think, like, to your point, the coaches, for those who don't know, coaches at the beginning of the year assign, two SAC representatives, and those are the people that are more or less required to go to each meeting and kind of report back to their teams. But SAC is open to all student athletes, and I think that's kind of where I got started my freshman year when I transferred here, second semester. One of my teammates, I think they used to do like a bring your teammate to SAC night.
Yeah.
And one of my teammates, one of the upperclassmen invited me. And when I got there, I realized, oh my God, this is a great opportunity to meet people from outside of my sport. And coming from a team that only had, 10, 11 guys at the time, I thought, okay, this would be really great to make new friends. All these people have something in common with me. So I got involved with SAC that time. And it was pretty interesting because then I don't know if you probably remember this, we used to meet in like a small classroom. You remember that? We used to meet in a classroom in McGonigal Hall, and it would be like maybe 15 to 20 people there.
We've got upgraded since.
I
The
think
community has grown.
that's like one of the coolest parts of being in the role now is seeing kind of the growth of SAC. We're in the fancy basketball theater, and depending on the meeting, we get anywhere between 40 and 50 people. So
Yeah.
I think it's just going to
awesome.
show like, people before us have also done a really great job of kind of growing SAC and making it more of a community of student athletes. I think that's what really got me passionate is trying to, meet other student athletes, learn from their experiences, because we're all going through something similar. And
Yeah, it's cool to see that like we're all student athletes and we all have different stories, but at the end of the day, we all go through the same kind of issues and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to connect and see like that side from other people.
I also think it's so cool when you really make a connection with someone or you meet someone for the first time, and then you actually go out and watch them compete with the T on their chest.
That's our favorite part.
I think that's like my favorite part is actually going out and watching people that are involved with SAC or people that I've made friends with and watch them go
play their
sport and dominate.
Yeah.
So
I've learned a lot about different sports.
Yeah.
I had no idea what field hockey was, but over my 4 years.
Fencing. I mean, there's a lot going in
that
sport.
I don't know if I still understand it, but now that we've got some friends on it, I think it's so cool to see.
It's really cool to get the exposure there. And I think that's one thing that SAC, has done a lot of great things. So I hope that gives our audience a bit more of an understanding of not only us, but also SAC.
That's just a scratch on the surface of what we do.
Yeah.
At SAC.
But I think, at this time, what do we say we segue into our first segment here?
Okay, yeah, we tried to get a little creative here, and we
wanted the audience to feel a little bit more alive and a part of the show. So we had the idea, maybe with the help of our good friend ChatGPT, come up with a little name for a segment, otherwise known as overrated, underrated, but we put our little spin on it. Temple Takes.
Yeah, I think
we're gonna call this. We're gonna call this segment Temple Takes. You can think of it as we're going to throw something out Temple related, and we're going to give our take on it, whether it's overrated or underrated. Maybe a brief explanation or two, depending on how passionate you are. But let's just jump right into it. The first one we have is the honey truck on campus.
Food here is a crazy important part of the
I feel
culture
like
of campus.
It's a big part of it, especially when you have a bunch of different like food trucks. I feel
Food
like
trucks. Gosh, we could talk about food forever.
It's a hot topic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But let's go. You give your take first. Honey truck.
Let me think on my answer here. This might be a hot Temple take. I'm gonna go overrated.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna need to explain this one.
I've tried probably at least 10 food trucks here, and it's a solid food for sure, but I don't know. I think there's definitely better, and it's just so overhyped.
It is popular. I will say, like that could be one drawback. I'm on the opposite side.
You could wait 30 minutes for your food.
I'm underrated, but I think maybe an explanation could help change your mind. I think the first time I had honey truck, I wasn't as impressed because, like you said, it's very popular and you could wait 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And while the sandwiches or the wraps are delicious, I don't know if you can fit a 30-minute window in. I mean, sometimes you're running class to class.
Exactly,
you don't have 30 minutes. But I will say, once I discovered the online ordering.
Oh, okay. That's a new hack.
That changed the experience for me because now when I went to honey truck, didn't have to wait 30 minutes.
How much is it though? That also ties into it.
See, I could be wrong and someone can go out there and fact check me, but I don't know if there's an additional charge because you're picking it up.
Well, just like in general, because it's been a while for me. Is it like a $15 meal?
No, I want to say, and again, like go out and fact check me, and I'm going to throw some numbers out. I want to say it's like $8 to $10 for a sandwich and fries.
That's solid. Part of my reason for the overhyped though, they changed their fries. They used to be crinkle cut. And I loved a crinkle
What are
cut
they now?
fry.
Because I had it not too long ago. I believe it was still crinkle cut.
Oh, really? Last semester, I thought I saw some just straight cut, and
Well, maybe someone in the
That's not good
audience
for
could
me.
could go ahead and figure out if there's still crinkle cut fries, and if you figure out that
Okay.
answer, you can shoot us a message.
yeah,
Okay, so disagree on the first one.
yeah.
How about the
Happens.
second one? We have the Charles Library. Let's hear your take on the Charles Library.
See, there's so many ways you could take all of these. You know, we're veterans at Temple now, so
Yeah, I mean,
I love the Charles Library. I think it's probably the nicest building on campus, but I'm honestly gonna go overhyped because I think study spots, it's very packed, especially during finals
I
week.
agree.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm the same way. I'm overrated on this. Again, architecture, the look of the
Beautiful.
building, beautiful.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
10 out of 10. But like, I'll be honest with you, I've probably gone to that building my time at Temple, like over under 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe even under. Like I think
I'm like over 50 probably.
I'm not a library person when it comes to studying or getting work done. I feel like
We never even said our majors now that I'm thinking of the library.
it's too
Cool.
serious. You think the audience cares what we're studying? Maybe they do.
Well, it kind of ties into it, maybe.
I mean, I study finance, so I'm going to Fox a lot.
Yeah.
Some of those breakout rooms, I think, is where I get my best work done.
Mhm.
I'm just not a library person when
Okay.
it comes to studying.
See, I was a health professions major, so a lot of hard sciences. It is nice, the location, especially if you're trying to get some studying done in between classes. Like it's right by my Bury Hall.
Okay.
And so that's definitely a convenience factor is good, but
Yeah, I think it's not a diss on the Charles Library itself.
Oh, yeah,
I think
no.
it's the combination of I don't do well with libraries and also the popularity of the spot.
It's
I
distracting a
just think
little
it's a bit
bit.
overrated.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I might take a notch down to like it's mid. Like
Okay.
it has pros and cons, you know, it's kind of
Okay,
hard.
so a little in between.
Yeah.
All right. I think the next one we could have some interesting
debate.
takes.
Okay.
Let's throw out Saxby's.
All right. It's a chain, right? It's
And
everywhere in
remember,
the north.
The owner was a Temple alum, so
Oh.
you might want to take it easy on him if
If
you
he's
have any
listening.
burning hot takes on it.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say overrated.
Okay.
I think I love iced coffee. I love coffee. I love lattes. I love it all, but I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me.
Is it like a speed? Is it like just the actual taste of the coffee? Like
Something about
all
the
the
taste.
above?
Everyone's gonna think I think I've said overrated for every single thing.
I think
So
you're
I
coming
promise
off
I'm a
bit
very
harsh.
positive person. But
Just not the type coffee for you.
yeah, not my favorite. I would argue Richie's Cafe is better.
Okay.
That's my
Those are
go-to.
ready to go. He's got those outside.
Oh, well,
It's grab and go.
I'm gonna say not the hut, the real one is my top on campus.
Okay, so you got to walk a little bit
It's a
further.
hike,
You
yeah.
think it's okay.
Yeah. What about
Going
y'all?
back to Saxby's, I'm gonna hit the underrated button for a couple reasons. As I just said, I study in Fox, and sometimes you got back to back classes, and you don't
Yeah.
have time to make a run. And not Richie, Saxby's is down in the lobby, and I'm not
That's
a coffee,
convenient for
I'm not a
you.
caffeine coffee guy myself, but I will say Saxby's, they have 3 muffin flavors. All 3.
I've heard the muffins are amazing.
I can vouch for all 3 of them. I'm personally a blueberry guy, but you can't go wrong with the French toast or the chocolate chip.
Their
I
food
think
is underrated.
They
I
do
would
a great
say.
job. Yeah, they have little wraps.
The wraps, if you add
Yeah.
hash browns and stuff in it,
Yeah,
those
no,
are good.
and that's what I'm saying. I
sure.
think it's a convenience thing, and it's also like I'm
Mhm.
not a coffee person, but
Okay.
the food there between classes gets the job done for me. So I'm gonna go underrated on Saxby's. Let's move on to our next one. I think this is a recent take.
Yeah.
We have the formerly known as the American Athletic Conference rebrand
Oh yeah, this
to
summer.
just the American
Yeah.
or the American Conference. What's your take on that entire rebrand?
I'm gonna mix it up. I'm going underrated on this
Okay.
one. I think it has some really cool designs. You know, I actually really like the eagle, if everyone knows.
Get a name drop. What's the Eagles name?
Soar the Eagle is the
Okay.
mascot, and as a school with an owl, we got birds too. Now they're flying
Maybe
together.
could we see a Soar the Eagle appearance on campus? You think?
Oh, yeah. Maybe at a football game with Swoop and all them.
Might have to inquire with Arthur about getting Soar the Eagle on campus.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and colors are nice. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
they need to share it a little bit more,
I promote it,
Yeah,
perhaps.
for
Yeah.
sure.
We as president and vice president of SAC, we also get to serve on the American Athletic Conference. Sorry, the American.
Oh my gosh.
See, I'm already messing it up. It's not
We'll get
good.
used to
That
it.
might get cut out. The American SAC, which disclosed this rebrand over the summer, and I was pretty excited.
Yeah, I think it's
Not just for SOAR, but the entire thing.
yeah, bring
Okay.
some hype to the American.
Yeah.
We deserve it.
Yeah, we definitely do. Moving on, I think this might be the most controversial one yet.
We could talk about this for forever.
Yeah, we'll try to keep this one to it brief, but let's throw out Grubhub. The whole Grubhub ordering.
Yeah, let's
pre-ordering
explain to everyone
experience.
that
For our audience that is not currently a student.
yes. So now you're able to pre-order your food on Grubhub to like anything in the student center, the Panera and McGonagall. Is there any places I'm missing that you can?
Any really like campus spot that you can use your meal swipes at,
Oh yeah,
I think.
yeah.
And basically you can order ahead, and the idea is you skip the line and you just kind of have it ready whenever you're
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
But I think we both have a couple bones to pick with this new kind of rollout.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea behind it makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. Especially when you're on the go and busy.
However, I think there are some
Execution
issues that
issues.
there are some execution issues.
Yes. So maybe that shares our opinion on it
Yeah,
already,
I
but
think I can speak for you on this. I think we're both going to say overrated.
Mhm.
And I think we're going to just leave it at that. I don't know if it's worth going,
yeah.
too far in, because I know we probably have partnerships and sponsorships with these companies. So let's just say Grubhub, love the mission.
Some things need to be worked out.
We got to work out a couple kinks, and we can do that behind the scenes.
We can go into further detail if needed. But.
Yeah, that works. All right, our last one. Let's wrap it up with another location on campus.
Prime campus
And
spot,
maybe-
especially on a nice day.
On a nice day, maybe we can explain, because I put this down as the top of Mazur.
Probably has a bunch of different names.
And I think you could probably explain this in very different ways, but
Mhm.
for our audience, you can think the area above the wall. Okay, so if you're at
Do you
the
really
wall,
call it the wall?
like where Richie's is,
Yeah, I say food huts. I don't know.
I've never heard anyone call it the food huts.
I've
Like
never heard them
if
call
you
it the
say
wall
you're
until I
going,
posted on
you say you're
Instagram.
going to Richie's, I'm like, you can meet me at the wall.
Huh? Maybe I need to pick up some temple lingo.
I
You know?
feel like that needs to be added to the vocabulary.
Okay. Sorry. Got
But
off topic
anyway,
there.
a little off topic, but the top of Mazur.
The garden-ish area with some. You
Yeah.
can do some studying there. A lot of people do tanning there.
And
There's some
that's maybe
beautiful
where I'm going to
flowers.
start with my decision on
All right, you go
overrated.
first.
Yeah, I'm gonna take, because as you can tell, I'm really fired up about this one. I'm gonna say overrated, and let me explain why. I think having spots to sit outside on campus is wonderful,
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
but again, going back to my problem with the Charles Library, is this area just gets way too crowded, and unfortunately, I see people, using this spot in maybe some ways that I don't think should be used. Like, if I want to go study or eat lunch and someone's tanning on the table, I think,
On the table. Oh
I've
my
seen
gosh.
it. I've seen it before. You guys know who you are. Yeah. You guys know who you are. I think it gets a little too crowded and maybe a little overused.
Mhm.
So maybe that's something I need to figure out how to.
Maybe that's a you issue. I'm
Maybe
kidding.
I think it may be a me issue, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna say overrated for this one.
Okay. See, I think that's like such a prime spot on campus, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't often go there. Like I tried to do my work outside, but I just cannot do it,
Not
especially on the
outside,
laptop.
As
Yeah.
you guys can probably tell, I'm a little, maybe this is, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I need to figure out how I can be a little bit more flexible with my study habits.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside studying, I just feel like
It's really hard with the computer screen and the
it's
sun.
distracting.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
But I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this one because I would never go up there for work, but I think if I
Yeah.
was eating or like just meeting with my friends, it's a great spot.
Okay.
So I'm actually gonna go underrated on this one because I love how they tie in flowers and stuff. I think it's a good spot up there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it might not even be underrated because it's so popular.
Yeah.
So it might just be rated properly, perhaps.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
that. All right. Well, I just, now that we wrapped up, I
That's a
think
good one to end on.
that was a good one to add one. I think what we can do actually, and this is maybe a little off script here, for our next segment of Temple Takes, for next episode, I should say, if you guys have takes or spots or on campus food options
Mhm.
that you want us to give our take on, you should reach out Temple Sack on Instagram.
Mhm.
Fire in those DMs.
Get us a Temple
Get
Sack
us
plug.
Get us some A, you can hit that follow button, and B, you can send a message in there and you can just say Temple takes and then whatever spot or spots if you're feeling ambitious.
It's a great Instagram. Shout out to Amelia.
Shout out to Amelia
She does a
Bud.
great job there.
She's working the Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow that page.
It's a great way to see like what we're doing at meetings and everything.
And also we do promote some fun stuff on there. So I would give that a follow. Even if you're not a student athlete, stay in touch, reach out, fire in those DMs, Temple takes. We'll give a plug there.
There we go.
All right, let's talk. As we mentioned earlier, we love going to sporting events, especially supporting our student athletes. It's
what you and me may be known for the most at Temple.
It's showing up.
Yeah. Like
I'm okay with being known for that.
I think we go to everything. I think there's not one sport that I haven't gone to.
You have, outside of your sport, do you have a sport that maybe you didn't realize going in that you now are like, I can't wait for that next blank?
See, I grew up on like football, so obviously I love football. But I think field hockey was one that I literally didn't know a single thing about. And I always heard, oh, it's so similar to lacrosse. So actually going to a game, it's nothing like lacrosse. I think it's a lot more like soccer. Like, it's a lot more like free than lacrosse.
It's very technical.
Lines.
I have a lot of respect for field hockey. That game is so technical.
Yeah, I don't know how they bend down for that long.
I mean,
like,
like guys, field hockey players.
I think that's my answer. Field hockey is.
Okay, that's a good take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong there.
What about you? Did you have one that was surprising?
Yeah, I think maybe my answer is not gonna shock a lot of people that know me well, but I think for me, I never grew up around this sport, but especially in the last year, going to some of the gymnastics meets, I've seen some pretty incredible stuff go on, and I think it's also great because they compete a lot at home, so there's an opportunity to see a lot of different home meets. And
I love gymnastics meets.
Yeah, they're really cool. They do some pretty awesome stuff. So I think that one was an easy one for me. But
I have another one that really, it was last spring when they went to their competitions and stuff. But the Temple dance team,
okay,
that's
a good shout out.
Good. I think
they're
underrated.
Maybe our listeners don't even. Maybe they don't even know that we have a dance team.
Yeah, but they did some amazing stuff.
And
again,
if
you want to watch, look up they have it on YouTube.
Yeah, I know they were at nationals, and I'm gonna throw out a number, and maybe this gets cut out because it was so wrong. I want to say they got 4th.
Yeah, I think it was top 5.
I think they were top 5 in the nation for a category of dance. I apologize to the dance team if I butchered that, but yeah,
not
Temple
a dance
team,
take, but I think they're underrated and they deserve the hype, and I think they got a good amount of hype on the national scale.
For sure. Shout out Temple Dance. Okay.
Yeah. Keep it up.
With the topic of going to sports events, we have a couple upcoming Owl events that we should.
I'm excited to start the year,
Let's first highlight the women's soccer team who's playing on Sunday, August 31st at 4 p.m. at
Had
home.
A good start to their season.
Against the Delaware Blue Hens. So that game, like I said, it's going to be at home. You can find that. Wait, Kevin, just cut this part out. Okay? Just cut this part out. We're going to start right now. So, like we said, there's some upcoming events for the Owls coming up on Sunday, August 31st. The field hockey team is going to be taking on Central Michigan at home at noon. As you said, you love watching field hockey. Will you be at that game on the 31st?
Yeah, it looks like I'll be at TSC for a while on Sunday.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different events going on.
I think that's field hockey's first official game too, so that's always exciting.
That's awesome.
Be the new team.
For sure. And then it looks like if we fast forward to Saturday, September 6th, this is not a home game, but I think it's important we shout out, this is a home game.
Technically, yes.
Apologize. Our beloved Temple Owls football will be taking on the Howard Bison on September the 6th.
2 p.m.
At 2 p.m. So you can catch the Owls in action there.
Mm-hmm. That'll be exciting.
I think you can definitely find Amelia and I at both of those events.
Mm-hmm.
But going into our last segment of the pod, I hope you guys have enjoyed it thus far. I hope you'll stick with us. I think we'll be rolling out an episode every week.
Yeah, the more we do it, the
the more the merrier.
The more
So
we'll get better at it too, you know.
we sure will. So thanks for sticking with us for this long if you've made it this far in the pod. For our last segment, we're going to have a little segment called Owl or Foul. And
You wanna explain what that means?
yes, I will explain. But unlike the previous segment where we listed a bunch of things, owl or foul will be just one owl, which will be something that is trending upwards or something that is exciting,
soaring into
on
the sky.
campus or with athletics. It could be
Mhm.
either. And foul, maybe a little self-explanatory, could be something that, you know, could be improved
Mhm.
or something that is tough right now.
Yeah.
And we'll try to keep these as positive as possible. But
Mhm.
for our owl, do you want to share what the
Oh,
owl for this
yes.
episode is?
This one's close to my heart because as a recent graduate of the College of Public Health, I think this is great for Temple. Just walked past it today too. The Owl this week is going to be the new public health building, which is one of the nicest buildings I think I've ever seen,
Honestly, it is like
especially on a campus. Oh my
and
God.
I mentioned that I study finance in Fox, and walking by that building every single day, it makes you
It's a
question
beauty.
some decisions. It really does. I mean, like you
might
look
change
at
your major.
you look, yeah. I think Nick Black would be a little upset with that, but I mean, it's a beautiful building.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like they've
Some great
made a lot of progress over the summer, and
Yeah.
I don't, again, maybe this is another theme if I just make up stuff on this podcast, but I want to say the building is opening
this fall.
this fall.
I think maybe classes that start after the semester, I want to say.
But they've done a great job.
Oh,
The
yeah.
building's gone on. I remember when they
Yeah.
first started. I think they started my freshman year.
It feels like it's been a
And
while,
it's
honestly.
but for what the building looks like,
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
incredible.
So I think that's also a great thing for alumni to see, you know.
Yeah, it's a fantastic building, and we were just talking before the episode. It kind of, makes the buildings around it look a little tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
tough.
that good. That's
Yeah.
how awesome.
I mean,
it
and
is.
that's a good problem to have.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but I mean, like it is that great.
I think it ties in great with all the other newer buildings on campus, like the Charles Library looks awesome near it. And then also, I don't even know if you venture this way, CERC, Science,
I have
Engineering,
taken a
Research
class
Center.
there.
That is a really nice building.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
also another shout out in that public health building, there's now a bookstore. And I walked through that today. It's
The new bookstore.
Oh yeah. So if that's anything like what that building's gonna look like, it's down
It's
at the
gonna be
bottom.
incredible.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna
great,
be
great,
beautiful.
great plug there. Love the shout out for the
go
bookstore.
visit that and you'll be able to see a little bit of what's been going on in that building.
Sure. Okay, now let's talk about the foul. And
You got that
I
one.
can kick this one off.
Since I've been negative this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of overrated, that's for sure. Okay, the foul. Again, this might be a little hard for our audience that is not on campus to understand, but for those of you that don't know,
It's kind of a con of what we just talked about. That was so
a
awesome
little bit of a con,
in a way, yeah.
but as they are wrapping up the construction for the new College of Public Health building, they've started constructing the new Klein College, which is going to be the first academic building built west of Broad Street, which is
Media and communications, right? That's Klein.
Media and Communications. That's right.
Yep.
So that building is being built on the west side of Broad. And there's, as you can imagine, there's a lot of construction
Oh yeah.
going on
Right next to McGonigal Hall.
right next to McGonigal Hall, which is where student athletes spend a large
A
chunk
lot
of their
of time.
time. And for those student athletes that live, do you have a name for that area? Like the 16th, 17th Berks area? I feel like it's where a lot of students live.
Yeah, off campus.
Off
but in
campus
between-
housing,
in real
like a
life setting.
townhouse,
townhouse.
kind of on that 16th, 17th Street area.
Yeah.
They've closed that walkway that you can kind of use to cut through, get you right on campus on Pullet Walk.
Mm-hmm.
So my foul would be the inability
The detours.
to get to campus in an efficient route.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
might sound very niche, but I mean, we're on the move.
It's a hard thing to
Like,
deal with.
Not all of us are getting NIL scooter deals. You know what I mean? We can't just be cruising around campus now. So
But it's sounds like it's not an inconvenience, but I mean, especially with our busy schedules, adding like 10 minutes
it
to
is
walk around.
You got to
the
get all the
building.
way around that building. And look, I know I mentioned I run cross country, but I'm not into the extra steps. That cut
You
through
get
was,
enough steps. I think,
that
right?
cut through was great, and it's been stripped from us. I think it's a
Yeah.
foul.
So it's hard to complain about that because obviously some great new buildings are going to be arising, but we probably won't be here when those
in the
buildings are
time
ready.
being, I think we have the right to call it a foul because, like you said,
They tried their best, but it's hard to walk around.
it's hard to walk. But I'm sure they're doing a great job. I think construction's already underway, so
Yeah.
we'll look forward to seeing that building in 4 years.
And in the long
3 or 4
run,
years.
it's helping our health, because we're getting more steps.
More
in.
steps.
Yes.
That's right. We'll
So-
we'll take a positive spin on the foul.
Yeah.
Which
And another positive is that it's going to be, I'm sure, a really great building, just like that public health building.
Sure will be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you made it this far in the pod, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate your support.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope that we were good enough.
We hope we get back on. If you
Yeah.
guys never hear us again, it's probably because we didn't do a great job. But,
Yeah, but
hopefully we see you.
pretty good.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. I think
And
this was a great intro. I hope you guys got to learn a little bit more about us and what we do here and
yeah. Again,
why we love Temple,
yeah, fire in those DMs. Any questions, anything. We'll answer it here on the show. So
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Go Owls.
Go Owls.
And we'll see you guys next time.
All right, that's this week's episode of the Owl Pod. The first one is in the books. We'll be back with a brand new episode next Friday, so make sure to subscribe. Tell your friends. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere you get your podcasts. I want to thank my co-hosts, David and Amelia, and our guest today, Casey Keeler. Special thanks to Christy Bannon, Justin Miller, Prince Moody, and our executive producer, Dan Lobaz. I'm Kevin Copp. Thanks so much for listening, and go Owls.